welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm the founder of the Disclosure Project. I'm an emergency doctor, retired now, emergency medicine and trauma. I have been working in this area for about 33 years as a volunteer and as a provider of information to people in the United States government. You're seeing behind me a moment ago this event 22 years ago on May 9th, 2001. At that event, there were 22 folks who came forward, and that information is all on our website and on YouTube, and those were folks who actually, some of them, who handled extraterrestrial bodies called EBINs, extraterrestrial biological entities, handled craft, were on retrieval teams, all kinds of witnesses. Now, that got a certain amount of attention in Congress, but they weren't ready at that time to do hearings, which they're preparing for. I understand from people in the House Government Reform and Oversight Committee. And so over the last 16 months, I've been asked to provide as much intelligence as I can to folks who have been working to get to the bottom of this since the Congress passed a law requiring the Director of National Intelligence to come forward with information to the extent that he had it. Now, one of the problems with that process is that, and I discovered this in 1993, in December 13th of that year, when I briefed the director of the CIA at the time, R. James Woolsey, for then President Clinton. He and the president had been waved off and not given information on this subject. That's when, as a young doctor, I realized that this was being run outside appropriate oversight and supervision by the Office of the President and the Congress, and that is just a fact. So at that point, of course, it sort of upended my life in many ways, but we began to try to get information to the executive branch further, do research, provide whistleblower testimony, but it was all done very quietly. I then started providing information to folks in the Congress, such as Representative Dan Burton, who was chairman of the Government House Reform and Oversight Committee, Senator Dick Bryan, Nevada, ironically, home of Area 51, on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and many others. Those proceedings went forward as a volunteer effort, and all of this is still a volunteer effort. We're unfunded volunteers. And I do want to thank every one of the people here who made this happen, all these military whistleblowers coming forward, and our staff, and most of all my wife, Emily. I will tell you, if my wife, Emily, hadn't been a rock, we wouldn't be here. She's amazing. So, and we got married 44 years ago in August, this coming August. So, and we have 4 kids, 12 grandkids. So, ironically, my grandkids are the ages of my daughters when I started this process. So it's beautiful, but like, really? Why is this taking so long? So in my young years, I thought, okay, we'll get this information to the president and key people in the Congress. I'll go back to my normal life, taking care of shootings and stabbings and what have you, and off we go. Well, that didn't happen, as you all know, or you would have known. And I think the media has played a very key role recently in covering this, and there are whistleblowers beginning to come out in other settings besides this, and I applaud them, and I think more should do so. Now, the history of this is important because if you look at the testimony we have already, it's something like 70 to 80 people that we have debriefed, videotaped, have their transcripts, and it's available to the media and the public through our website and our YouTube channel. We've very transparently put out everything we can. To an extent, a not-for-profit entity can do it with volunteers and no office and no staff. So I don't want people to not get too grand here. This has been a volunteer effort for 33 years, and those people are heroes, as are these men up on the stage with me today. Now, and just a quick trip through some of the previous witnesses. We had Sergeant Clifford Stone. He was on an NBC team nuclear, biological, chemical back in the 60s with